love like being able to like help someone through their journey.
Welcome to the Passion Behind the Art show. It's all about diving in with individuals to learn the story behind their passion. It's your host, Daryl Pinnock. Well, I am excited to have Younghae from Logos Calligraphy. An awesome calligrapher, letterer, she's just great. And I'm excited to have her on the Passion Behind the Art show. Welcome, Younghae.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get it started. How did Younghae's design adventure start?
Well, I guess like design and calligraphy is kind of combined into like the same story, but so I took a calligraphy class in college, and this was like more than 10 years ago. So that was my first exposure to calligraphy. Just learning italics back then, and then it wasn't until 2014. Our family was living in Florida at that time temporarily, and we were kind of going through like a difficult season with kids. And I have two boys, so one is 7 right now, one is 3, and my youngest one, he had a lot of like skin issues, allergies, like just a lot of like stuff going on there, and just work and just. I don't know, it was just like this, like a storm. Like everything was just kind of all over the place. And so I remember like just being home, trying to like survive and raising the kids and being just mentally wiped and drained. I looked around my home and it was just so depressing. It was dark. There was nothing on the walls because it was like a temporary home. And then I was thinking, I needed to like see more words. I needed to see like some hope, encouragement. I wanted to be like visually reminded of like perseverance through this. Let's gain some hope again. So I Google searched like calligraphy classes in Orlando, and then an ad popped up for a local art store that was hosting this whole like weekend workshop to learn copperplate, which is primarily what I do right now. And so it was like in a couple of weeks. So I asked my husband, I'm like, can you watch the kids? I need to go take this calligraphy class. And he was just really like, I don't know what made him want to say yes, but he was like, yes, go, like do your thing. And he pretty much like managed the home. And ever since I learned the class, I just couldn't stop like writing or wanting to learn more, and just really loving the whole like realm of art and calligraphy.
So were you doing design in general before you kind of niched down to calligraphy, or?
No, I wasn't. I was just like, I was in a completely different field. I worked in advertising for a little bit, just right out of college, only for like 2 years. And then I was doing some nonprofit, like working for like a campus organization. So did a lot of like seminar speaking, small group meeting with like a small group of college kids. So I was not like in like the world of design, like handwriting or calligraphy at all. Yeah.
So, all right. So you've taken this class. You're learning calligraphy. Like, how did it get to this? Which is this empire that you've created. You got a workshop going on. How did it get to this? Like, what was the steps to even get to where you are right now?
Well, when I look back, I've been active on Instagram for, I guess, like 2 years is when I've really just focused on having a separate account for like my whole like journey into calligraphy. But I don't think like my whole like account or whatever, my journey, it didn't just like boom. It was more of, I see it as more of like a gradual, like step by step. Every time opportunities come up, I would gauge if it aligns with my heart and I would take it. I feel like it's just like a step by step journey for me. There wasn't anything crazy that happened. I wasn't like blasted on, I don't know, like TV or anything that gained popularity. It was just, I partook in a lot of like lettering challenges. I just kept sharing my work. I was very consistent, so I feel like my followers, they know that I put out my stuff. Some like it, some may not. For me, it's more of like my own outlet. So it's been very gradual, but I'm really thankful.
Yeah, awesome. So I noticed you started your course. You have a course now. You want to talk a little bit about that? Talk about that course a little. How did you get it started? How did you even think of, okay, I wanted to do a course? What made you want to do a course?
Okay, so after I started continuing to learn calligraphy, I think it was 2015 when somebody was like, "Oh, you should like host a class for people who want to learn from you." And I was like, "Who would want to learn from me?" I was like, "Who's gonna come out to my class?" And then, but I really do enjoy like teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was like, okay, I could do this. I'll put together some material and just ask if people want to learn. And so that first year, I've had a lot of like my classes were sold out, and I really started to enjoy taking what connections I've made on Instagram and having like a personal one-on-one connection. So that's how my whole in-person workshop started. And then after doing like a year or a year and a half of that, I realized that a lot of my audience on Instagram were from like Hong Kong or London or just all over the world. And I feel like that's the beauty of the internet, is that you can connect with people without having to leave your home. And so people who were telling me like, oh, they don't have anyone to learn from, they don't know what to get, have so many questions, and I couldn't sit down and like answer 100 emails. And so I was like, I can probably like put together an online course where, it's affordable and people can just log in, have access to it anytime, and be able to connect with them through that. And so I launched hosting my own online class last like a month ago, 2 months ago in October. And so about 400 plus students signed up. And it was amazing because I was able to provide still like a personal connection through live videos. So I did kind of this where I did like video chatting. People would ask me questions, and it was really cool. So I'm hoping to do more courses in the future.
That is amazing, man. That is amazing. And I like the fact that you actually did the workshops for like almost a year and a half. So you any kind of little things you had to work out, you had the time to work it out in just doing live workshops, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So who would you say you surrounded yourself? Who would you say your support system through this, this journey? Who would you say your support system was?
My main man is my husband. He really, like, our schedule is kind of crazy because I homeschool my kids, but then I'm also working part-time through my calligraphy business. My husband's a part-time student, and he has a part-time job. So we're just, like, juggling, like, 4 different, like, jobs right now. And so, we do a lot of handoff with the kids and try to make it work. But every time I need the space and time, my husband is always more than willing to, whether providing critique or saying, oh, that's great, this is an awesome idea, or, being like, I don't know about that. Like, I always run by every idea with him. And whenever I'm feeling like this whole cloud of like discouragement or insecurities or fears, like he really helps me maneuver through. Maybe it's because he's a guy. Like he's just like, why are you even thinking about that? Or he'll just say, don't worry about that. Like, everything seems so clear to him. Whereas for me, I'm just like analyzing like all these like questions. So he's kind of like my partner in this. It's only like me running it. And then I do hire some part-time help if I need to when things get really busy. Awesome. In terms of like ideas or products or designing, I'm mainly the person that does most of that. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So what was the hardest part through this? Because I know it may have been all easy, but just in case, like, what was the hardest part in this? What you had to struggle with the most?
There's so much. I'm trying to think. The biggest one, I think for me, when I first started off, was like being a lefty. And so just to learn this calligraphy properly, I really wanted to learn from a left-handed teacher, just because I had so many questions about the basics. I feel like for a whole like half a year, I was struggling with just knowing how to hold a pen or how to work my paper so that my hand wasn't smudging the paper. Just things that like right-handed people won't struggle with. I feel like technicalities as a lefty was like a huge struggle for me in the beginning. So I would order books like randomly on Amazon, like left-handed calligraphy. There wasn't much out there. So a lot of it had to do with me being able to just work it out and experiment and try things and reach out to people if I had questions. But through the past 3 years I've been doing this, I feel like I finally hit like a sweet spot for me to know how to like grip and write in a way that I want to and how to properly execute like the letters and stuff.
Okay, cool. So is that something you're planning to like maybe teach?
Well, that is something I cover in my course. It's
Oh,
like
cool.
I like tell people that I am a left-handed calligrapher. So if there are lefties out there, because I get questions a lot about lefties being like, oh, but then can lefties do this? Do I have a chance? And then I'm always maybe they see me as like the go-to person now for lefties. So I always make sure to like encourage them and provide my experience in how I'm able to write the way I do. I mean, it might not work for everyone because even lefties, there's like a hook writer, underhand writer. There's just like so many types of lefties too. So my experience may not perfectly align with another person's, but still, I really just want to share like my story. I want to share just whatever I can to help people.
Wow. I didn't even like. I mean, I knew it was different for lefties, but I didn't even know that there was so much different variances, like so much different degrees, and because when you're right-handed, it's just like almost everything is built for a right-handed person. You know what I mean? So, man, more power to you. So when you're not calligraphing, what are you doing? When you're not creating this logos and calligraphy, what are you doing? What's the next thing that you're doing, like outside of creating for your page?
You mean so aside from running my business?
Right.
Okay, so take out my business. I'm a mom, so I'm cleaning. I'm like chasing after my fights. I'm doing the laundry. I like cooking actually, so I try to like cook at home when I can. I like working out. I actually was certified to be a PIO instructor, so I didn't really go anywhere with that. But I value like health and just being active because I feel like calligraphers, they're just so hunched over their desk and they're like in the zone, and my posture, my whole like, I don't know, I feel like I just sit and eat snacks like all day because I'm so I need to just get out. Like there's some days when I'm like, I've had enough of like just writing. I just need to like see the sun. And so I just go out, run errands. I go to the gym, and then just like I like just hiking. I guess it's not something I do every day, but yeah, that's it.
So, like, how can you? Because I go outside too, and I feel like as a designer, for the most part, you're in front of either a computer, or for us that do drawing and stuff like that, or lettering or calligraphy, you're just constantly in front of a desk. You're sitting down. So I would go outside and go for a run. So what would you say like is next for Younghae? What's in the horizon? What's next?
I guess like there's so many things that's on my to-do list. I honestly feel like I wish I had more time. I just feel like so many people are interested in learning how to flourish. I mean, I do feel like my passion is in teaching. I mean, I just don't have the time to be the one creating everything. I rather like empower and instruct and give people that ability to do that for other people. You know what I mean? So I love like being able to like help someone through their journey
Mm-hmm.
by helping them overcome their struggles with calligraphy or creating. So I'm trying to do more products. I did launch my copper plate practice pads like last year, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been about a year now. And so since then, I've sold probably more than a couple thousand. I have it all in Hong Kong, as well as 2 major calligraphy shops and some local shops here. But because of that success, I realized that people want more. They need more help, like with their journey. And so I'm just trying to brainstorm, what can I do to provide, more resources, or I do provide some free ones on my blog, like guide sheets or templates. But in terms of like instructional material, I want to be able to produce more of that. So yeah.
So what would that look like? I know you're saying you're still working on that, but like, what would some of that look like in terms of? Because when you say that, I'm picturing you actually giving them your time, and I find that very hard for you to have to do that. So what would that look like outside of giving them your time?
I mean, like in terms of like if I want to be able to see more products being
No,
come.
I mean like you basically you said you wanted to help someone through their journey and help them along the way. Like, how are you planning to do that in terms of like not including giving them your time? I'm just curious.
Well, I feel like with my online classes, a
Mhm.
lot of time is required in the setup and the
Mhm.
beginning and the prep work. But once like you have that like structure set, I feel like in terms of like just opening up to students and being able to answer questions, the time commitment is not as big. I feel like the bulk of the time is being consumed in the preparation of the course,
Okay.
even with my products too. I mean, right now all I do is ship it out, but
Mhm.
in terms of actually creating the product, a lot of the time went into just designing it.
Right, 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 right. Okay, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So, what milestone are you planning to hit in 2018?
2018, I'm working on like my next online course, which is more for like the intermediate students. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a name for it. That's it. But it's going to be called Fearless Flourishing. And
Mm.
a lot of people have fears about flourishing. They don't know where to put like an extra like oval there or like a little stroke there. And I remember like even like when I started my journey, I was nervous about knowing where to put the lines, and so that's why I came up with that name. I don't want people to fear trying to flourish their letters because it's so pretty and it's elegant, and so I really want to work on that and launch it by hopefully early spring or late spring is my goal for 2018, along with like calligraphy kits, or on the back burner, maybe consider even thinking about like writing a book or
Mm.
instructional, like something where I can give inspiration to people. I can have like a collection of my work, as well as the first portion being more of like an instructional, manual. So I always have like these random thoughts in my mind, but those are those are like big things. Yeah, the book would be a big thing. I don't know about 2018, but my next big project would be the Fearless Flourishing like online course.
Awesome. Wow. Man, you have a lot going on, and I mean, I like. This is our first time actually interacting face to face, but I've followed you on Instagram, and I just like the way how you go about doing your thing, and it's very elegant, and you kind of talking to you now. It all makes sense. It all makes sense in how you approach and how you do things, and I really enjoy it. Um, so, what advice would you have for creatives out there? Someone who's trying to either build a platform or just get into lettering or calligraphy. What advice would you have for them?
Well, I always tell my students that it's really important for them to enjoy the whole journey. I have students who are like perfectionists like myself, and a lot of perfectionists, they just focus on the negatives, and they focus on their mistakes, and they focus on how that stroke didn't look perfect. And, at the end of the day, I mean, this whole art is just a never ending opportunity to learn and grow. And so I feel like if you're so fixated on the result that you want, then you miss out on the joy of learning and growing and just developing as a person. I feel like what I was interested in like 3 years ago is not what I'm interested. Like, I mean, some of it did stay the same, but now I'm like exploring painting. I want to learn like other things. I like meet people, and then all of a sudden I get inspired to want to learn that. And so I always like tell my students, just enjoy the journey and celebrate the progress that you made, because anyways, like when you're practicing, what you do and put out like today, it's going to be better than what you did like a year ago or like a month ago. And so there's always something to celebrate in your journey. So yeah, I would say that would be one. And then the second thing would be to take breaks. I feel like as an artist, we have that pressure to produce, right? And we have this kind of like expectation on ourselves to want to come out with like a new innovative idea or something that no one has ever tried before, but really like everything has been tried. So
True.
So it's just like pointless to some degree, but so there are seasons where I feel like I go through like these winter seasons where I'm feeling dry, I'm not motivated. But rather than scrolling through Instagram and wasting hours and sleep on just seeing what other people are doing, I rather just like shut off like social media and then be with my kids and like enjoy life and get out and like have conversations and be able to see things beyond what's right in front of me. And I feel like when you start looking at things around you, you actually get remotivated and inspired to want to do something, and create. And so I think it's important for everyone to take breaks, regularly, and do something that is completely not art related. It could be just like reading a random book or watching like a movie, with your friends. But it's just something just that will make you happy and want to be able to like go to your desk and write something, a quote or something that you've seen or heard or read. So those would be two things. Yeah.
Well, Younghae, I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, I enjoyed this conversation and I love everything you're doing, and I just want to tell you to keep going.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I will definitely keep in touch, and I hope you do too. But for now, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
Thanks again for coming on.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to say thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at DPCREATES on Instagram or Twitter. And please leave me a review on iTunes because that helps the podcast to grow. Thanks again. Be blessed.